Hi, my name's Steve Bamford. Following on from my previous videos, I would like to discuss today monitoring in the new landscape and specifically the internet. Now, before we start, as always, just a reminder that these presentations do not represent the opinions or views of my employer. These are aimed at being informational and are based on my experiences with a view of helping my peers. Whilst vendors are mentioned, this is not a paid for presentation. So what are we going to discuss today? So just briefly, because it's been a while, rediscover the modern technology boundary, discuss the fact why the internet is actually technology's department's problem, and consider how you monitor your external connectivity. So previously we talked about the modern technology landscape and how our traditional boundary, which focused around our own infrastructure, is no longer viable. And in fact, our technology landscape and our monitoring boundary spreads not only through our own infrastructure, but out onto the internet, including our infrastructure as a service provider such as AWS, GCP, Azure, and our software as a service providers, Office 365, ServiceNow, Salesforce, Sage, and onwards. But also just as important are obviously our clients and our own users. The common thing that you will hear from a lot of technology teams historically is the internet isn't my problem. We know now, especially after the last few months to 6 months, the internet is very important in the modern landscape. You might not own the infrastructure, but your user and or clients still expect you to know what is going on. And knowledge is half the battle in solving any problem. So what solutions are out there? I mean, I did a quick Google search and, I've picked up a handful here, 10 uh, possible solutions, two of which I've used personally, and I will go on to discuss in a bit more depth. But when you consider how you monitor your external or internet connectivity, there is a few things to consider. One size doesn't fit all. One solution that works for me may not work for you. Identify what your business needs are and don't necessarily expect a one-stop shop. Your budget is always going to be a factor in the solutions that are available to you. Ask the question, can open source help? I can answer this to a degree, and I had a look around for a good 10, 15 minutes, and I really couldn't find anything that was sort of open source that would help me. And don't forget to engage your support teams within technology in this decision. And then think about how you can use the information effectively from the tool and present it to the widest audience within the business to get the full value of any product you use. So let's look at our end user, our employees. I think this is certainly the bigger of the two challenges because you're looking to monitor so much more than perhaps your own platform. And quite often the challenges that will be raised is we can't monitor all of our users all of the time. Historically, that's potentially very true. And with a lot of the solutions out there, it's still true. But there is one out there that I believe will help you monitor all of your end users all of the time. There are just too many ISPs to monitor. This is very true. There are thousands of ISPs out there, but you only need to worry about the ones that affect your users in this use case. I monitor my VPN solution from within my infrastructure, so it's fine. It's not fine. Even if that solution is a cloud-based solution such as Zscaler, What you have to remember is you're only seeing it from wherever you're monitoring it from. You're not seeing it from where your end users are. And if it's on your own infrastructure, then quite clearly, all you know is that it's reachable from within your data center, not from anywhere else on the internet. We already have so many agents on our end user devices. This is very true for any enterprise organization. However, you should factor this into your decision making and your proof of concept or testing of the product. There is nothing out there that monitors our end users completely. Um, this isn't so true, and I'll go on to explain that more when I talk about Thousand Eyes. Um, there is one solution that would monitor the solution completely. Um, your client experience, then, so your clients accessing your platform, it is as equally as important as your own users and employees. Because if your clients can't connect to your product, then your business's revenue is impacted. Not knowing where the problem lies means your own systems will most likely be blamed by your clients, even when it's not your issue. A good example of this was a major ISP in the US had a problem, and Cloudflare were getting blamed for the issue, when in fact the truth was it was nothing to do with them, it was this ISP. And they actually took the time to put out a blog and explain exactly what happened, because they had the knowledge of what happened, what the issue was. If you don't have that knowledge, then you're in this modern world on Twitter, on other social media sites, you're going to be getting those tweets saying, Joe Blogs Incorporated is down again. I can't place my order on their website, etc. When in fact, so that your reputation becomes damaged. When in fact, the issue is an ISP upstream is preventing them from accessing your website. There are many players in this marketplace. Thousand Eyes and Status Cake I've used personally, and depending on your requirements, they both deliver a solution to some degree. Although I believe Thousand Eyes provides the most information, take time to review the vendors in the market, the countries they are available in, and look for the best fit for you. Some solutions to consider, some monitoring considerations of your internet-based services. I've talked about Thousand Eyes, and I believe this may just be as close to utopian as you can get for monitoring your services that are provided on the internet. Thousand Eyes effectively has 4 products to support you, all of which are cost options. The endpoint agent will support your users within your organization and provides options for monitoring browser sessions, where you can select the domains you want to monitor. For example, your own domain, Office 365, Salesforce, Sage, whatever. You can set up what you want that browser session monitoring agent to monitor. Non-browser applications or some key monitoring, you could use the agent itself to monitor. At the time I was using it, it was 3 agents, 3 tests. And you can pick those and use them for your VPN solution, Teams, so you've got continuous monitoring of Teams, Zoom. I don't know. There's many options out there that you could consider to use those tests for. By the way, I do believe they're planning to release an endpoint agent with up to 5 tests if they haven't already done so. Another useful thing, and especially useful if you can get that data into your frontline teams, is the monitoring of the Wi-Fi and on the LAN of that endpoint, along with critical information such as CPU and memory. People can be working from home, and and be a significant distance away from their router, so their actual Wi-Fi quality, their wireless quality is poor. The information will be provided in an easy to use format for someone to go, your Wi-Fi is the issue here. We can see loss to your gateway, so check your LAN connection, or check your congestion on your Wi-Fi. Too many devices, everybody at home at the moment. Turn off those devices like your Xboxes that aren't actually do anything but have been left turned on. Internet Insights provides visibility of internet outages that impact your business, and you can drill into the outages themselves to understand and communicate the impact to your business leads or to your clients if necessary, and your users. You can select what you want to monitor, whether that be Microsoft infrastructure as a service, unified comms, cloud-based voice, basically, security as a service, providers, CDNs, and ISPs, and get the information and tailor the information to your requirements. Enterprise agents, these are actually really good for monitoring your internal applications and software as a service services that are hosted in infrastructure providers, and are ideal for monitoring access of these services across your WAN and SD-WAN, or from your offices to the internet. So focusing on that enterprise level monitoring of those applications and the underlying network connectivity. Now, cloud agents are similar in a lot of ways to Status Cake or Pingdom or any of the others out there. And you can carry out testing of services and applications across the board from hundreds of agents across the globe, from basic uptime tests to in-depth transactional tests. You have the ability to drill down to the path on the internet and exactly see where the problem lies, whether that be the path has changed to a different provider, or actually a provider is stopping your traffic from reach, or stopping traffic from the agents reaching your platform. Uptime monitoring solutions, they're all much of a muchness. Status Cake is one that I've used, but there are many other solutions out there, such as Uptime Robot, Site 24/7, Pingdom, Datadog. All of these solutions are out there. And if we look at Status Cake as one I've used, it has a zero cost option. So if you have a fairly static website for a small shop where they would just send you an email to inquire or fill out a very basic form, that would probably work for you. But for the purposes of an enterprise or a retail website, I will be referring to the cost option, where you can get a lot more detail and have a lot more tests available to you, from page load tests to see how long the page takes to load, dashboarding, alerting, and things like that. You could use Status Cake and any of these others to monitor SSL VPNs or Office 365 pages for uptime, from the 43 countries that Status Cake has agents in. And it does provide some reactive downtime root cause analysis, which in some circumstances, depending on the type of error, provides you with a trace route, which would be useful to see if it's, stopping somewhere where you don't expect it to. But what it won't tell you is where it was previously tracing to. So you won't have that underlying network data for you to be able to say, this is definitely an ISP problem. Some other solutions to investigate. So when I was looking around, some ones that caught my eye, especially around the end user piece specifically, was Logic Monitor have a end user monitoring option. Now, when I looked on their website, it looked interesting, but I'm not sure how far it goes into that end user space. So take time to investigate this as an option. But when you look at Logic Monitor, the end user space on its own probably wouldn't be as valuable as taking the whole product and seeing what that can deliver to you as a business. Next thing, I took a look at their website and they have a remote worker pack that may be worth investigating. It appears to provide the end-to-end monitoring to some degree, but I would recommend investigating it further. It was only released in March 2020, but certainly has been developed continuously since then. And I think it's something that intrigued me, but I don't have the ability to try it or a reason to try it and feedback more than take a look. So the do-it-yourself option, could you, with time and effort, do something yourself? The answer is possibly, but how much time will you need? It's actually something I have thought about, but it's having the right skill set to develop something that does not impact your fellow employees' devices. Um, Also, if you're just looking for your platform or your website monitoring, how would you do that, and why reinvent the wheel? Arguably, there is possibly, when we talk about the end-to-end solution for your users, there's possibly only one vendor out there that gives you that full end-to-end solution. And even for your website monitoring, there's possibly only one that really gives you that deep dive into the network layer data for you to actually see where the problem lies, and not just that your site is down. Consider these things when using infrastructure as a service providers to do the monitoring for you if you do it yourself. And basically, how do they shift traffic around the globe? How will this impact your visibility? Their routing may miss some of the key paths that your real client and user data will traverse. Some providers will backhaul the data across their own infrastructure. So what this means is it doesn't actually touch ISPs that your client data or your users data will pass. So look at how they do pass that information around the globe. Don't forget, if your solutions are hosted on that provider, you will, for all intents and purposes, be monitoring from within that infrastructure. So what's up next? Thousand Eyes, and how can it benefit you? As a product I've used, I am going to spend some time talking over the product from an independent viewpoint so that you can get an idea of where it can benefit you and your organization. This is a change to the way I've been doing things previously, and I'm just looking at different ways of providing you information. Finally, thanks for watching. This is Steve Bamford. I have over 20 years experience in IT operations roles within a number of different sectors.